Right, we're in France, we're in the border of Belgium. We've come along a place called the Maginot line. It's a French fortification built between late 20s, early 30s, and it was built basically to protect itself from possible German attack. Commissioned by a company, or I should say a gentleman called Maginot, who was the Minister of War at the time, hence the Maginot line. Runs for about 943 miles, or about 1,000 kilometres, and it's a mixture of petit ouvrages and gros ouvrages, basically small works, large works. So we're at a place called Fermont, which is a gros ouvrage, a large works, and it's turned into a museum. So we're going to have a look at what's inside this museum. Fermont is flanked by two other ouvrages. To the right, which is the east, which be Gros Ouvrage Latrimont. To the left is the west, and that would be Petit Ouvrage Chappy. It was manned by the 149th Fortress Division. It had 533 men and 19 officers controlling this ouvrage. On the 11th of May 1940, this place become under attack from the 17th Regiment German, artillery, I think it was. On the 11th to the 15th of June, it also helped repel a German attack from Petit Ouvrage Chappy. On the 21st of June 1940, Gros Ouvrage Fermont and Gros Ouvrage Latrimont were under direct attack by the Germans, and at some point after that they both would have surrendered because the battle for France was over by about the 25th of June 1940. Anyway, let's go inside and have a look at what's in this Gros Ouvrage. And what you see behind me is the crew entrance to Fermont. You can't get in here. The only way you can get in is by walking another couple hundred metres to get into the munitions entrance, and that will definitely start to take you down into the Gros Ouvrage itself. But behind this casemate, inside it I should say, would be crew quarters, sleeping quarters basically, kitchen, dining area, hospital, morgue, toilets, and stuff like that to keep the crew alive and happy before they take the 300 or 400 metres at least down to the business end of this place. Now you can see this here. It's a moat, but actually they call it a fosse. Now it's here for a few reasons. One is obviously to stop any enemy trying to get across it, because this here would be drawn up or drawn back. We'd be a drawbridge, but it's concrete, obviously, because it's a museum now. But also, if for instance a shell hits any of this bit here, round here, right, and it falls into the actual fosse itself, it doesn't block these guns up. So in other words, all the stuff should theoretically drop down, so in other words it keeps the guns from carrying on firing. Right, the hole there, and the hole there, and the hole there. The idea of that is behind these guns is like a chute of such, or a chute, S-H-E-T-U, a chute anywhere. What the idea is as it fires the shell, it fires the bullet or the whatever it may be, then what happens then is it basically drops back into a chute, and it falls into the actual fosse itself. In other words, it's not under the soldier's feet. And same as that, machine guns, it'd be like a chute at the back of it, and it'll drop through there. So in other words, all the shells are down here and out the way. Difficult to see, but you see that there on top there, they're called cloches. There's one there. There can be a mix of different things. There can be mixed cloche, in other words, there's machine gun and observation. And there can be just observation, in other words, any enemy coming, it'll tell the guns where to fire. So it's different types of that. There's also could be sort of a hole in the floor, which is a grenade launcher. I'll try and find a picture of that. And the idea of that is to fire grenades up in the air and drop at the front of this sort of building. In other words, so it repel enemy. And the grenade launcher could fire at 45-degree angles at 360-degree circular. These Gros Ouvrages have two entrances. One's called EM, which is for munitions, like this place here. Still got the lines in it, as you can see, and that runs all the ammunition in, all the waste out, all the food in, and stuff like that. And the other one is a GH, which is a troop one. Right, let's go inside and have a look. Another machine gun nest. These are blast doors, you can see. Right, we're just queuing up now to go on a tour, but I've got a feeling it's going to be French. So that's fine, because I think I know enough about the Maginot line to hopefully explain it to you guys who are watching it. The railway lines here will run from outside, where they'd load all the trucks and that up, and they'd load the munitions on and all the goods, the food and everything else like that. Then they'll take it in down towards, it'll be a lift, definitely be a lift, and then the lift will drop all the munitions, all the carts down to the bottom where it'll be stored. And we're looking at between 100 foot or 30 metres down before you come to the main part of the actual ouvrage itself, or the first bit anyway. What I see in front of you is a blast door, and also it protects as well if the Germans broke into the first bit of this ouvrage. And another crane with a machine gun would have protected that side.
Bye bye.
Yeah. What she's explaining is the position of these Gros and Petit Ouvrages. She's pointing out the A3, I think, is one's Latrimont and the other one is definitely this place. She's showing the combat blocks, and the part which she's pointing out now is how we get in Entrée des Hommes, which is the troop entry. Magazine, that's their magazine for M1, which is small arms. When we get to the block, that's the business end of this. Ouvrage. It's a good few hundred metres away yet. I think she's explained that all the goods actually come in this way, in one way or another. Entries to the munitions, yeah. So we've come in the vue ETC, means we are here. So the entry des munitions, which is that bit there, that's where we came in. You see where these shelves are? That's where all the cables run. What you see above me, I think, is a sprinkler system, if I remember rightly. And that's just in case there's any explosions inside the magazines. These come on, and these massive doors here should shut very quickly to contain everything. Oh, there should be doors here. There's obviously not any doors. Oh, there we are. Doors are there. They would close pretty quickly and try and seal everything off, if that was the case. Oh, yeah, sprinkler system. Another large door here. Again, if munitions went off, then these doors would shut pretty quickly. See, there's collectible munitions here, and they take it along here and they put it into where we're going now, inside this building here. The blast doors as well, seal it all off. This is where the M1 munitions were stored. Basically, M1's a carbide rifle. This is where all the bullets and that was stored, no doubt other things as well. And looking at these here, they're more like these shells as well for the guns at the front of this ouvrage. There's a roller shutter there, they can close it and just seal it off from the rest of the ouvrage. Hope you can see me. We're on the actual train for troop carrying. It carried troops, but it also carried munitions as well to the front. And some of the times, in some of the Gros Ouvrages, the troops had to walk, and it's quite a few hundred metres to the front. That is where the train's stored, obviously. Block 3, right, and block 5. Right, we've arrived at the business end of this overage. Block 4 we're going to look at. I'm not sure what's in there yet, but we'll no doubt have a look in a minute. This command post is where they all direct fire to different places when they're under attack. They've got all the information from the cloches up above, which is the observation cloches. The cloches will come down to here. They will direct fire onto wherever they need to do. And what they basically do is, once they've found which gun they can use, what they can do then is they'll have a direct link from here instead of the observation, and then they'll start to direct their fire at wherever necessary. So we're in block 4. What they're doing now is, because we're 100 foot down, or 30 metres, they're going to take us up to the turret, or I'm assuming it's with the gun section they made. No doubt it's got a turret. I don't know what sort of turret it is. I'm not really looked at much about Fermont, but I will put some information on it about what sort of gun they are firing, because they're speaking French and I can't understand French. I'll put you a bit closer, otherwise you're not going to hear me. This is the engine, a wedge to the lifts. We're in block 4, which is near the front of the overrise, the business end of it. So they're taking us up to no doubt a gun turret, and hopefully they'll show you how it works. Crewed by 5 men. This could be 135mm, possibly cannon. That is crew quarters for the men when they're on duty, and no doubt there's right next to the cannon itself. They need to be brought into use.
Il tirait par un système semi-automatique, la douille ressortait et rentrait dans l'entonnoir juste derrière.
These guns fire, or can fire across into different overages. In other words, the ones either side of each other for flanking fire in case they were attacked by the Germans. So the guns would fire and cover the entrances to this overage, which is the soldiers and the munitions, and also it covers Petit Ouvrage Ferté and Gros Ouvrage Latrimont. So if they're under attack, then they can cover those as well. They cover the entrances. I think these chains here are so they can drop this section here, and they can load the munitions on the back of it, put it on there so the soldiers can actually load it into the rear breech, and obviously fire on the enemy. The only way they're going to find the enemy, whether it has to be coming from a command, or I should say observation post, which goes down to command centre, and then the command centre sends information from the observation post to this gun, and then the gun can do its elevation and trajectory and fire onto the enemy. The air filtration system in here somewhere is when these guns are fired, it creates a lot of fume, and they don't want that basically choking the soldiers who are using these guns. So this will be filtered out straight away and then out to the outside, and then obviously fresh air pumped back in. There's always overpressure in these type of overages, because if there's a gas attack, then theoretically the gas can be repelled by more pressure on the inside of this building than outside. This is the chute as far as I can see. Yeah, there it is. Once the shell's fired, the casing shoots back. Hits the back of here, drops down here, and then it's like a toboggan effect. The shell comes at the back, goes in the chute, if you can see it, and it goes like a toboggan, a spiral effect, right to the very bottom of the overage itself, and drops into like a placement area, no doubt to be refurbished probably. Right, what I said about the chutes, I was wrong. This one doesn't go tobogganing down, it's a different type. I was thinking about the turret. The actual shells will actually drop through these holes here, into this part here. This is the Fosse. This is one of the casemates that is actually facing Latrimont. They're not actually facing backwards, they're not actually facing forwards where the enemy come from. These are actually covering fire for different overages. This one faces Latrimont, so the Gros Ouvrage Latrimont is actually that way, which is west. And just in case Latrimont ever gets attacked, then this is covering fire for Latrimont. The trap door down there, you see it, that's possibly an escape hatch as well. I may be wrong, but sometimes the escape hatches are around these areas so they can get out if they're under attack and they need to get out ASAP. This is a GM cloche. This is a double machine gun cloche, including others. So you see the machine gun sticking out there, and obviously the two side parts are observation. Now they're obviously covering the flanking side of this casemate. I hope that I've explained that a little bit to you. There's much more to these overages, to be honest with you. I think we're going down towards the other blocks, but on top of them now, because we're going to the rotating turrets. This is the sections that are actually facing, or can face, the enemy, or can face back if they want to, if they're rotating. So I think we're going to look at them. Now, I don't know how much we're going to see of this overage. There's a lot more to see. There's the engine room, there's a canteen, there's living quarters, there's the crew entrance, there's all sorts here. But I think if they had to take you on a tour of all that, it would take you 4 or 5 hours easily. Easily, there's that much to see. That's an LG cloche, that's a grenade launcher. They could actually fire in a 45-degree angle, that's about 360 degrees. The idea of that is to repel any troops that are on top, so they fire a grenade out, they'll probably just lob them on top, and any troops that are hanging about will, obviously the shrapnel should theoretically put them out of order, or disable them, or even kill them. But that is a LG cloche. That's a ventilation bell, if you want to call it that. That's to try and filtrate out any sort of noxious gases from the actual gun turrets and firing. In other words, they don't want the troops to be gassed by their own blinking carbide shells or the shelling. So what they do is they filter all that out, and also inside here is it's just slightly what they call overpressure. In other words, a bit more pressure on the inside than outside, and that's repel any attack by gas as well. This is a rotating turret, possibly a 135mm cannon inside here. They can rotate 360 degrees, as I may have said before. And a lot of these casemates, or as long as these turrets are controlled by, I think it's called the looping system, where when they come up with about 4 seconds, and then they slowly stop without sort of clashing to the top of the actual mechanism themselves. And when it lowers within about 4 seconds as well, to protect the actual turret, and the idea is as it lowers, it doesn't slam back down. It basically stops wear and tear. I think it's called looping. I'll find out later on and put it on the bottom of this. But that's what happens. This has got 360-degree traverse. It can see, or it should say, it can fire on any position from this high ground, which it is. This is a GFM cloche. It's a mixture of machine gun and observation. Obviously it can't move, but what happens is, inside this, obviously you can't see it, you've got bi-ladders, and what happens then is, if for instance you've got a soldier that's 6.5 foot or a 5 foot or 4 foot, the floor actually moves to accommodate the size of the actual soldier inside. So they can put a machine gun in there, or they can use the observation. Right, that's a periscope. That would have been a periscope, you should say. The concrete like that is designed to slope down just to get rid of water more than anything else. And some of the cloches need to fire downwards as well, especially on the front bit where the entrances are. So that's hence another reason why they slope like that. That's the front, one of the front blocks. I think, I'm not sure what block that is actually. I don't think it's block 4. I'll have a look on the map after and let you know what that is. But there's other ones like that. There's not just only one on these overages. There's like 2 or 3 at least. And as I said before, the big casemate with the big 75mm gun, that is facing towards France itself to cover the overages, flanking cover for the overages either side of it. Cool. Right, this I've been into one of these before with that floor missing. That's where the water runs under here like a drain. And I went into Latrimont, but this feels bigger than that one in Latrimont. And I didn't reach the end, but obviously I'm going to reach the end, so I know where this leads to. I think this is the opposite way to Latrimont. I think this leads to the munitions entrance, where we just come from the soldiers' entrance. So in Latrimont it's vice versa. We're in the casemate of the crew entrance. Now this is where the crew lived, where they ate, where they congregated for recreation. So we'll walk around. I'll show you the camera what you're looking at. These are folding away tables. These, some of the troops are having something to eat. They pull them down, put a chair under, have something to eat, and fold them back out the way. And I think that soldiers can still get past them because it's quite wide while they're having something to eat. These are the sleeping arrangements. Apparently, there's 3 soldiers per bunk or bed. They do, I think, an 8-hour shift, so one will be working, one will be sleeping, then one will be some kind of recreation. These are the soldiers that are having a bit of recreation while one sleeps and one works. Nice frescoes. Yeah, another gun emplacement here, opening for the machine gun. So that's covering the, looks like the back end of the actual entrance for the crew. Well, this is the workshop where if anything breaks down in the ouvrage, they can fix it here. We're going to the engine room now. Now, some of these Gros Ouvrages had 4 engines, usually 2 running at the same time and 2 for reserve. But a lot of these Ouvrages, I think all of them actually attached to the national grid, so they got electric from there. But if they've ever got cut off, then they've got engines down here to basically run the actual Ouvrage itself. This is the room where all the electric obviously came through, and then it's distributed through the Ouvrage itself, and I think it's picked up then on different voltages for different things. Like for instance, lighting would need a low voltage there, so for instance a gun turret. Right, we're in the air filter room now. As you can see, these massive filters here filter all the toxic gases and that out through firing the guns, and make the air more pure so the soldiers can breathe better. That's the idea, and also, maybe I've said before, that it gives it some overpressure inside this building, so any sort of gas that comes in here by the Germans, then it should theoretically keep it forced out. These filters also try and get rid of condensation and any fumes that build up. I'm assuming toilet fumes as well. So it's trying to keep the air as fresh as possible. That's what these massive filters are all about. Well, I hope you like the little video of the inside on the Maginot line, or one part of it anyway. And hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'm hoping I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.